Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the As I Amber podcast. I'm Amber, and I love to talk about music, travel, culture, and society. And we cannot talk about anything but Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl. Whether you hate it, love the halftime performance or not, we got to talk about it. Oh, yeah, and happy Black History Month. So, with me today is Samuel, aka Solomon Hill Fleet. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Happy Black History Month. Hope you're enjoying yourself.
I am. So we're gonna get right into it. So for those of you who've been living under a rock, Kendrick Lamar performed at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana. That was already a controversy because a lot of people felt like he's a California rapper in the no limit cash money region. And was he deserving of performing? And a lot of conversations online before the Super Bowl and during the was it a good performance? So, what were your 2 cents?
I had a lot of thoughts on a lot of things. First, I thought it was interesting how I thought it was interesting how Lil Wayne uh did the promo to let us know that the Carter Six was coming out during the Super Bowl weekend. That was a good little way to say there's no beef, but I'm gonna just insert myself. But I loved what Kendrick did. I felt like it's consistent with what he's always done with his brand, which is encourage us to think, to make moments. I look at like his past performance. I remember when he did a performance around To Pimp a Butterfly time. It was like 2015, 2016, and it was a prison on stage, and he was a prisoner breaking free. Like it's consistent with what Kendrick does, which is to try to make you think as opposed to just try to entertain you. And that's hard for some people.
Yes, someone said it was the equivalent of being in the class where everyone is learning sight words and you're reading chapter books with no pictures. So everyone's on a different level. That's not to belittle somebody. I know some people were expecting a halftime show where you shake your booty, you dance, you have fun. And we know there's plenty of rappers that could fit that category. But it's so bold and I think wise of Kendrick to do this during Black History Month and be like, I have the whole world watching me for 10, 15 minutes. Why not educate and not just entertain? So, for those of you, I know y'all just want to have fun, going up on a Tuesday, whatever, Sunday night, have fun. But this was a history lesson that was much needed, especially during a time when the powers that be are taking certain books out. And so a lot of the symbolism within the Super Bowl halftime performance went over people's heads. And some people just don't know. They've never heard of an overseer, slavery, Uncle Sam. They don't understand how America was built on Black bodies, indigenous peoples. And so this was history in 15 minutes. If I was a professor, most definitely my class would have to write something on this. Um, what are your, I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence because y'all have had time to watch it on YouTube. People have written think pieces and all that stuff. What were your top 5 moments or any moments you want that were just stand out to you?
So I definitely, and like you were saying about the professor, I think Dr. Barlow on TikTok is probably gonna have something about this. Hillman Talk is probably gonna love this,
Mhm.
but I definitely think everyone coming out in the red, white, and blue. That's the thing that immediately struck me. It was just so many levels to it, and it just brings me back to like the Pepper Butterfly, Crips and Republicans. Like that's all it is. Like we all in a gang. America is the gang.
Mhm.
You see red and blue because I'm from, Compton, but red, white, and blue, it's all one army. So the symbolism of the red, white, and blue, I think him bringing out Scissor was extremely, extremely important
Mhm.
because I think it also showed that it's really a cultural reset. It's not just about me. It's about the culture. It's not about entertaining y'all per se. And
Mhm.
I think Samuel L. Jackson did like, no, that's too loud. That's too ghetto. Like, y'all want a certain type of thing from an entertainer, but I'm an artist. I'm not an entertainer per se. So bringing out SZA to perform all of the stars, the red, white, and blue choreography, looking into the camera as he performed "Not Like Us," like it's some. I'm not gonna lie, even Jay-Z doing what he did at the Summer Jam stage wasn't even as devious. Like this is a new record of devious, and I love it.
Yeah, most definitely. You know what? I think Kendrick has been listening to the podcast. And you know why I say that? The things that stood out to me, this is a game, and it reminded me of Squid Game. The X's, the O's, the triangle, we are playing a game. We are being manipulated. And it was just so interesting because people beyond the surface level of the political and racial undertones within the country, um, just media in general has changed. So seeing the fact that I got my PlayStation controller and it was just like this, and I was like, ah, I knew then from the themes because Squid Game was number two, number one on Netflix for a while. And just like we are all trying to survive in America by playing this game. And that's the whole concept of Squid Game, a universal thing that everybody can relate to. And when you get outside of the lines or you're not playing the game right, Uncle Sam is going to snatch your cash. And that was so bold of him to do that and to incorporate Uncle Sam, aka Samuel Jackson, and knowing his political background from his protest at Morehouse College to him being in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing movies. I thought it was a wise choice, and just his thespian theater career, like to pick Samuel L. Jackson, and then in the Black community, we calling older people unks. Why not have Uncle Sam? So I thought that was a really strategic and interesting choice. Another thing that stood out to me, that was so the PlayStation controller, because we're being controlled by manipulated, Uncle Sam, the set list. Now, I'm a concert junkie, hip hop head, but I knew why he selected certain songs. We have Squabble Up. We're gonna fight. Okay, stereotypical group of Black people fighting, followed by Humble. Oh, you need to sit down. You're doing too much for yourself. But remember, Squabble Up takes the Debbie Deb sample and it makes me dance. And I'm gonna make you dance. Then you need to sit down because you're doing too much. But then you're not doing enough. And then just DNA euphoria. And when the men and women were separated but united at the same time, that was a powerful statement. Another thing that stood out to me was when they were creating the human flag, the red, white, and blue, of course, the American flag, there were no stars. But you have SZA singing All the Stars. And that was part of the Black Panther soundtrack. Of course, God rest his soul, Chadwick Boseman played a phenomenal role in that movie. And I just thought that was like homage and representation of the fact that as a culture, we are the stars. And people kind of miss that, like, okay, red, white, and blue, the Bloods, the Crips, LA culture. And besides being extra petty, his Gemini kicked in, whether you believe that or not, they petty. But to have SZA, who dated Drake, and to also have Serena Williams, who also dated Drake, perform. I was like, somebody go check on Drake. He is sliding down the shower wall, crying, reaching out to the air because on his phone with his lawyers, on his Karen, like, where I'm going to speak to the manager immediately. Like, this was just a huge metaphor. And so when I got to work today, I knew some people didn't understand it because if you don't follow hip hop or you're not familiar with his songs, it was not it wasn't cool or they didn't understand. But when some people have things broken down to them, oh, and what set it off for me was the fact that Kendrick's not afraid to share his platform. I know I'm talking a lot, but it was so much to have DJ Mustard, the person that produced the song, come out and as a behind the scenes person, to see someone come from behind the booth, behind the chair, and in front of the camera, that was cool. And he's even got an endorsement with Heinz over the mustard. Like, you're putting people on. The fact that SZA, I'm not here to body shame or tell people what to wear, but the fact that she was beautiful and she didn't have to be scantily clad or, vulgar. It was a great performance. And then on top of that, We got scissor, we got the PlayStation clothes, all the little metaphors. The TV off part and it's over, like game over. Like we're tired of playing games. Like stop playing our face. I could go on. I bet you if I watched it again, some things would stand out. But I was just like,
And to be honest, you really summed up a lot of the things that I was going to say, but I'll make this comparison too. When you think about Usher's, halftime show last year, it was equally symbolic because
mhm,
both of these were homages to Black culture. And there's a lot of subtleties that things that people don't get sometimes. And I'll be the devil's advocate on it because I've heard the other perspectives. If things require a lot of decoding and it's not directly in your face, it's hard for people to enjoy it. So I get that side of it, that it was maybe hard for some people who were just thinking that, yo, I'm just here to dance, or it's my first time hearing your music. I need to hear something that immediately sticks out to me. But it's like he kind of kept saying, like, this is the revolution. Like, I'm resetting this thing. I'm resetting this
mhm.
thing.
And
Like,
just like the game, you got to press reset. And the
exactly,
controller,
exactly.
who is the controller? Like, it was deep. What did you think about the quote, "You got the right time, wrong guy"? Did you think that was like a metaphor for him? He's making fun of himself, like, I'm the wrong guy for the Super Bowl, but here I am.
I definitely think it was more so like you picked the right time to go to war, but you just picked the wrong person to go to war with. And I think he was more so because it's probably gonna be an unreleased track, but I think what he was just more so telling Drake was like, I could see why you said, hey, this is the time to go at, and assert that I'm the one. But it was just the wrong guy. You underestimated him. And him throwing Euphoria in there, I think it brings another dynamic because this guy is also the first person to win multiple Grammys for a diss record. And Euphoria was the most cerebral diss record. That was the real diss record. Not Like Us was like I said, Not Like Us was the victory lap.
Mhm.
And so I definitely think that Kendrick knew what he was doing. And when he mentioned Uncle Sam, I just kept thinking, this is what To Pimp a Butterfly would have looked like if we would have had a live performance. That's what I thought when I heard it. I was like, okay, To Pimp a Butterfly anniversary is coming up real soon. This was a nod, subconsciously, to Pimp a Butterfly, and it was a necessary moment. Some of the backlash that Jay is gonna get and other people are gonna get for making an overtly Black moment in one of the most racist regimes ever, it's not gonna go unnoticed. It's gonna be backlash for this, but his job is to push the culture. You can always find someone to dance and entertain people, but these were two very, very, very Black moments needed at a very, very crucial time.
Yeah, and one of the things that also stood out to me was the small details. When I first saw Kendrick come out, his jacket, at first I was like, wasn't sure if it was a FUBU jacket or I couldn't read all the stuff on there, but the A minor chain. Now, we know the lyric A minor, minor. Okay, we get it. But did you recognize that the font of the A minor is the same font in his PG Lang or whatever his name of his company is? So the graphic designer in my head was like, oh, this is free marketing because people don't get paid to do the Super Bowl. It's just like a free commercial. And why not promote my tour and my album, a GNX with people just coming out the car like, where these people come from? I thought that was genius.
It
I
was
just thought it
very
was so
smart,
cool.
and I didn't get the PG Lang reference at first, but someone mentioned it to me. But this, once again, is can be for better or for worse. This is the reason why some people so love him so much and respect how cerebral, and respect the fact that he's a Pulitzer Prize winning rapper. And this is also
Mhm,
the reason why some people despise it. And so, like, I'll give you this example. Facebook tells me what I think. Facebook never lets me down as to how the performances are.
mhm.
For a lot of people, they don't get it, and they immediately don't get it, and they have no desire to get it. And that's okay. And the people that love it, and you don't have to explain anything to them. And he's now become that type of artist where you either extremely love him or
Mhm.
just extremely hate him.
And two things can be true. As a recovering Drake fan, I mean, I'm not gonna go too hard on Aubrey because he was the soundtrack for a lot of people's college parties. Like, let's give Drake his flowers, but let's be real to the fact of the matter that it's Drake is the pop crossover artist, and Kendrick has always been unapologetically black. And sometimes when an artist is not necessarily crossover and they still have a diverse fan base, because I've been to a Kendrick concert and I've seen every ethnicity, culture, shade, complexion there. And it's like, wow, y'all really rock with Kendrick. I would never think so, Hannah. Like, okay. But it's cool to see someone go from headliner to was a opening act to becoming a headliner. And I remember in October 2015, I saw Kendrick for $45 at the Tabernacle in Atlanta. It was a very intimate, small venue. This was during the Kunta's Groove sessions during the Good Kid, Mad City to Pimp a Butterfly era. So up and coming, up and coming. And when he lost the Grammy to Macklemore, yeah, don't stop playing
Macklemore.
them. That's a whole nother subject about the genres and people feeling like someone isn't worthy. But I'll say this: Cowboy Carter and GNX are works of art. They're cohesive albums. So whether you like it or not, it's meant to be listened to thoroughly. He's telling a story. So people are so used to 10-second viral TikTok songs or just da 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 da. I like that song. I like the beat. But if you are not in the mood to be a critical thinker, this is not for you. And also, I want to share this for you people hating on Kendrick or Beyonce. I'm not mad at you. That's your opinion. But please don't be on Ticketmaster buying concert tickets because I'm telling you right now, Kendrick and Beyonce, I've been to their tours. They're the type of people, they think about things, they read books. Yeah. And they have their blackness is centered. And so sometimes people feel othered or they can't relate. It's for everyone, but their center is the main character, you know? So I just want people to understand that when you want to go to a Kendrick or Beyonce concert, it's not going to be the greatest hits tour. That's later on in their career. It's going to be centered on whatever album they just put out. So before you get on Ticketmaster buying up everything, please take that into consideration.
That's a
What
good
is
disclaimer.
Yeah, it's just I don't think some people are familiar with certain artists. Like you can go to a Janet Jackson concert, she's gonna do her greatest hits. Don't nobody want to hear the new stuff. Love you, Janet, but they want to hear Control, Rhythm Nation, Self-Titled, All for You, those songs. But when it comes to some newer artists, it's hard for people to see someone evolve. And so that can be a good thing for a fan base or a bad thing. But I'm just so proud of Kendrick. And I wish that, he could have done some other songs, but I know the powers that be probably censored him a whole lot. And what he did, what he was able to do, hey, no cursing, I didn't hear him curse. Like he skipped certain parts or didn't say it, but that's a challenge on certain songs because you got to pop out and you got to say some stuff sometimes, but he didn't. And that
Yeah.
level of restraint
And the
or
breath
pettiness,
control, the
yes.
breath control that it takes. And I think, like, to piggyback off some things you were saying, I don't think it should be either or, but it's now become either or. I like Drake. Up until about 2018, I would say I was a decent Drake size fan.
Mhm,
I would say I was a Drake fan. I
mhm.
think after that, it became too much of a focus on being a pop star, and I kind of deviated. But I'm not saying you don't need both. You do need both, but both have to recognize their role. As I tell my friends, I'm not going to the club. I'm not playing Common or Talib Kweli when I'm going to the club. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
You
wrong
need
with
some
that.
future.
Yes, you do, but I'm not studying to future. I'm not reflecting to future. I'm
Time and
reflecting
place.
to, what I'm reflecting to Kendrick and most and early Drake. You know what I'm saying? So it's a balance, but I think they're resetting the culture. They're reminding people that artistry has a place.
Mhm.
And if you just wasn't feeling it, that's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just not your preference. It doesn't mean it's not good. It just means you don't like it.
Right. And that's a whole nother topic between preferences and where some preferences are rooted in. Because you can like what you like, love what you love, but when it starts to become anybody that challenges critical thinking Shut up. I don't want to hear that. Makes me question, where's your mind at?
And you could kind of tell in this time. So that's why, like I said, when certain people say they weren't feeling it, I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense. And the people said they were loving it, I was like, that also makes sense. So I would just say if this wasn't the best Super Bowl to you, cool. I would say it's one of the most important.
Mm, yeah, most definitely. It's like the nuance between educating and entertaining.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you have any final thoughts or who do you think was gonna do the Super Bowl for 2026? Like it's probably gonna be a totally different vibe.
It'll definitely be a different vibe. We're under definitely a new regime. So
Mhm.
I'm not surprised by I'm not gonna be surprised by who it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a different vibe. And that's
Mhm.
okay, because that's our cue that we don't really need to be putting so much stock into it as well.
Yeah. So, can anybody follow you? I know you are a great cultural critic as well as an amazing writer and educator. How can people follow you?
I appreciate you. So yeah, I'm on all social media platforms. Solomon, Solomon, Hillfleet, Hillfleet. So Solomon Hillfleet on all platforms. Working getting some more content coming you guys' way, some more interviews, and at the end of this summer, definitely gonna have something for Black people, but it's gonna be specifically for Black men who need therapy. That's coming soon.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is very needed. We all need therapy, but to focus on that particular demographic, hats off to you. Hats off to you.
I appreciate it. We need it.
And I think this was a great visual therapy session. The visuals for the Super Bowl halftime show. So y'all, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, or share to the As I Amber podcast. And I'll see you later. Good night or good morning. Bye.
See you guys.
Let's see.